And at last, the lake burst upon us. A noble sheet of blue water lifted 6,300 feet above the level of the sea. As it lay there, with the shadows of the mountains brilliantly photographed upon its still surface, I thought it must surely be the fairest picture the whole earth affords.
I saw an advertisement in the Sierra Sun for the Incline Village Crystal Bay Historical Society. David Antonucci was there. This hike was mentioned, and I know he's an authority on Mark Twain and has written a book about it, so I thought he'd be the perfect person to see this amazing site that Mark Twain commented on.
He was piloting a riverboat on the Mississippi when the Civil War broke out, and so the Union shut down the shipping in Mississippi. He was out of a job. In 1861, the land at Lake Tahoe was opened up for homesteading. He meets up with a guy who had just arrived in Carson City called John Kinney, and they agree to come together to Lake Tahoe. They walk 11 miles from Carson City to Lake Tahoe. So he's walking with his friend, and they get up to the first summit, look over, no lake, sit down and rest, and they continue on, and then they cross over a creek, and they come up the second summit, and they look over again, still no lake, so they're really beginning to wonder. He pays the Chinese to cuss out the guys who sent him on this route. Well, they continued on, made it down to the lake shore at Hidden Beach, which is the outlet of Tunnel Creek. First thing they need to do in order to perfect their claim is they have to fence the land. And all they have is an axe. After dropping a tree or two, they say, if some of the land escapes, let it. I don't care. This is hard, hard work. The other thing they had to do then was build dwellings. You got to live on it for like 5 years, bring it into production somehow before you can perfect your claim. Well, after one or two logs and the amount of work, they realize that they're going to build their house out of brush. They pile it up into a lean-to using saplings. But that morning, they figure they can take some time off. They go offshore a state line point, about 100 yards, he said, the boat, and he carries some of the food and the cooking utensils up to where they're camped, a little ways back in the forest, and he lights a campfire. And then he turns around, and he's going to walk back to the boat. And as he gets to the boat, he suddenly hears John Kinney yelling, and he whirls around to see John Kinney running through flames, and that the campfire has gotten out of control, and in his words, galloping all over the premises. So now the forest is on fire.
I loved coming out and doing this historical tour because so often I'm out hiking and I'm figuring things out on my own, and I've led a few hikes, and it's so nice to know that, well, I like this term geotourism and literary tourism, to add that to my repertoire, and just makes it more enjoyable, and also so that I can share it with others.
I enjoyed the whole excursion. Enlightening to hear the Mark Twain side of the stories.
We'd learned a lot about Mark Twain reading books like Tahoe Beneath the Surface, but it was just beautiful just actually coming up and seeing the views we'd read about.
Amazing history of Lake Tahoe, and the beauty, and just appreciative of people that want to take care of an area.
It's a feel. I love the mountains. I've always loved being in the trees, but this is a different feeling than I've felt other places.
And I think the most significant part for me was probably this final stop where we got to see where Mark Twain first caught sight of Lake Tahoe and then hear his words as he described it.